Go to townhall.com or DennisPrager.com for my column today on this very issue. The denial of even the possibility or probability of any Islamic faith elements in the murderer. Do you know why I became alienated and indeed quite anti-left in the course of my lifetime? It is because of the issue of good and evil. I saw one of the constants of the left, and you don't have to go far left at all. The liberal left in my lifetime was the denial of evil. You couldn't call the Soviet Union an evil empire. You can't say that Nidal Hassan was motivated by his understanding of Islam. You can't say it. Just another religious nut, according to Bob Schieffer. NPR commentator, pre-traumatic distress, or it's astonishing. And so that is what alienated me in the beginning of my thinking through issues from the left. That it was the same. You just heard it. What was it? A couple of weeks ago, when the president's communications director said that she looked to Mao Zedong for political guidance. It is the inability to identify evil as such that is the most frightening aspect of the left. The other most frightening aspect is the desire to have ever-expanding government. Why Americans do not understand that ever-expanding government means ever-diminishing citizens and ever-diminishing liberty is an ode to how effective education has been at de-Americanizing our value system. It was so obvious to anybody not on the left that Islam played a significant role in this murderer's murdering. But people don't want to hear it on the left. It's because he snapped, according to the New York Times. He snapped. National Public Radio had the commentator speak about pre-traumatic stress disorder. This post-traumatic stress disorder, which in and of itself I believe exists, but I also believe has been wildly exaggerated. How come we didn't talk about it nearly as much after World War II? By the way, these things become self-fulfilling prophecies. This is the way you create unhappy, miserable people. You tell them that they have a disorder. The old way was, and it went too far the other way, but it was a better way. Come on, man, brush off your problems, stand up, and give a smile. So you lost a leg. That was the attitude in World War II. The attitude today with the 60s and feelings-based and feminization of society is that everyone who suffers it has been traumatized and is not fully responsible for their behavior. So the man snapped. That's what we're told. Chris Matthews has looked so foolish in this matter that I think I have to believe one day he will just say, what the hell was I thinking? I played for you. Let's do what we have now 2 days in a row, right, of Chris Matthews clips. Let's play the first and then the second.
The investigation into that massacre at Fort Hood yesterday is still ongoing, and it's unclear if religion was a factor in this shooting.
Still unclear if it was a factor in the shooting. Even a factor. Not the factor or the motive. A factor. Unclear. It's unclear to Chris Matthews and the entire mainstream media. That's true. That's correct. Because they don't think clearly. It's very hard to have anything that is not unclear if you're not clear. And you can't be clear if you are agenda-driven rather than truth-driven. And anyone who denies the role that his Islam played in his life and in his murderous rampage is more committed to an agenda than to truth. And I say that as a 100% affirmation. There's no other possible explanation for the denying of the religious element in his murdering. except that I am less committed to truth than to an agenda. Diversity, tolerance, openness, not being bigoted, whatever you want it to be. Now, what's his latest one?
See, we have a problem. How do we know when somebody like Hassan's going to make his move? And do we know he's an Islamist till he's made his move? He makes a phone call, whatever. According to Reuters right now, he had apparently tried to contact Al-Qaeda. Is that the point at which you say, this guy's dangerous? That's not a crime to call up Al-Qaeda, is it?
Yeah. It's not a crime to call up Al-Qaeda if you're a major in the United States Army and you already have Islamist views. It's not a crime. But how about this? Is it suspicious? I want to hyperventilate here. Wow. It gets worse. I mean, you just picked CNN's Kira Phillips. I want to thank this woman. Without this woman, I'm telling you, we would be bereft sometimes of great examples in the media of unclear thought. So she had a series of questions that she posed. Who did she pose it to? Them to? Who? To Ken Robinson. Okay. And here is the third. The series of questions are all dismissal of the possibility of the Islamic base of his murdering. Now this one.
You know, we've seen our own men and women snap because of these wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, specifically Iraq. Now we are seeing Muslim Americans snap. What does this tell us, about these wars?
That's it. It's the wars. It's the wars. He's a victim. He is a victim. We'll be back in a moment.
That's not a crime to call up Al-Qaeda, is it?